What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Linares.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. Let's kick it off with get a happy birthday chant going for Jonathan here. If you have him on Facebook, you've seen it is his birthday today.
Today, no, Elijah, a troll. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you might have seen this before. Elijah has told me happy birthday on like the last three of my Facebook profile picture or picture updates. And so many people just go along with it. I got a text, I got comments, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Last time I had to be like, hey guys, appreciate the love, but my birthday's not till February. So if you're listening, please do not fall
Wish him happy
suspect
birthday.
to that. Yeah, man, you got a lot of people, the old heads especially, they
Yeah,
bite.
the bots. Yeah,
They are
it's
prey.
yeah. And it was just one of those things. Like it randomly like generated it. It was in the summer, I think. So it really wasn't even me who started this. It's Facebook. But here we are. It's tradition now. So happy birthday.
Yeah, so thanks for the love. Uh, if you guys have been watching the podcast for a while, you know we start off with fantasy football updates. We're gonna not do that because I was like, man, if somebody just listens to the episode randomly, they see the title, they want to hear about that. They don't want to hear us talk about fantasy football. We like to talk about it. So we're gonna talk about it at the end. Some weeks we might talk about it, but let us know if you like it. We
I
might
mean,
get back into it, but it is what it is. We're a
yeah.
music
I
pod.
mean, of course, the week I beat Jonathan in fantasy, he doesn't want to mention it. So good timing there, I guess. But
Okay,
I'll throw
this
that
is
little.
okay. This is probably the only week we should talk about it. Then I guess, yeah, you took care of business against me. Your defense went crazy. CJ Stroud
CJ
went
Stroud's
crazy.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, my team sucked. So I was gonna take my L in private. I kind of forgot about that. I already was on to the next,
Oh,
but yeah,
you forgot, guys.
I'm too locked in on fantasy basketball. So yeah, congrats to you for that one though. That's fire. We can talk a little bit more at the end, maybe, depending on how we're feeling. But anyway, let's go our songs of the week. Let's kick it off here. I'll go first because I got to start with a timely one. Guys, we're a couple days late with this week's episode. Apologies for that. We had a lot of family business going on this weekend. So my first song of the week, Family Ties. We had our cousin Anthony's wedding. We had Elijah's sister, my cousin Bianca's baby shower. I didn't go, but you went. Congratulations to you on being a godfather. Welcome to the club. I've been a
Yeah.
godfather since I was like 14. I didn't get it, but I was really him. But yeah, had to get going this week with Family Ties. Man, at our cousin's wedding, the whole time we requested Family Ties, Family Ties, Family Ties. Then when it comes on, man, I hear those trumpets. I make a beeline to the dance floor, and I'm just looking for my range brother, my co-host. He's nowhere to be seen. I've never been so disappointed in my life. I took a quick lap trying to find you. You were outside, so you missed it. I was so disappointed. I was the only one out there. We haven't really talked about this. I was the only one out there. I was going crazy. I was doing that Keen verse. I was getting going, but nobody else was feeling it. The DJ cut it during Kendrick's verse, and I understood that completely. Yeah. It just wasn't the right. But if both of us were together, I think it would have passed the vibe check.
Yeah,
But just
hopefully.
me out there, it was just like, who is this? It's not his
Yeah.
day. Let's get on to these songs everybody knows, everybody wants to hear. But I thought Family Ties was going to go over well with the younger kids that were there. No, they're
Well,
not rocking with it.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's what we were there for. They heard it that first time. Like, oh, I was kind of feeling that, and then I mean, they're looking it up. They're listening to it now. They're diving deep into the melodic blue. They're watching our episode from last week. I mean,
Let's hope
it's
so.
just it's a carryover effect. I guarantee every single one of those kids that's what's happening.
I hope so.
But moving on, my first track of the week, we have "Better Off Dying." Lil Peep off "Come Over When You're Sober," the first version there. I gave it a listen for a full through listen without shuffle or anything for the first time in maybe a year. I don't think it's been that long, but I mean, just what a phenomenal album. That's the one that it came on in shuffle, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go listen to the whole album in
Mhm.
7 songs. That's nothing too crazy. So, but yeah, just a phenomenal track.
That's fire. That's a great song. I have it in a playlist. It's my all-time Wrapped on Spotify. Every song that's ever been on Spotify Wrapped, I just add to a playlist. sometimes if I don't feel like, picking a playlist or picking songs out of the queue, just shuffle that up when I get in the car. And that came on like maybe 3 weeks ago, nighttime drive. I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
great.
it's a good
It's
drive.
been a
Yeah.
minute.
Mhm.
So that was nice. My next song of the week I got, And Then You Pray For Me, off West Side Gun's new project with Casey. Great track. I just went on a run right before we recorded tonight. It's getting dark, daylight savings time, so it was getting a little bit dark on my run, and this song came on. It was just a great vibe. It was still kind of warm, but it's that fall vibe. Kind of just hit. It was good. I haven't heard this song probably in a week. I haven't listened to the album in a little bit, so I maybe want to listen to the whole album again. I got to do it. It's a great project. Yeah, shout out to
It's
West
been
Side
getting,
Gun.
yeah, I mean, shout out to him. It's been getting some crazy bump from me. So, moving on though, my next track, I was working today and City of Gods came on. And man, this is like probably I don't, with Donda, I guess, but this might be my favorite Kanye West verse that we've had probably in the last, when did Ye come out? 2017. It's the last 5 years. I'd say pretty confidently that this is it here. I love that we ain't watched the throne, we took it. Like that's just a fire bar to me. You just got like, they're not corny, but like I could see why you would think that. So I mean, but just a lot of the bars just hit for me at least.
Yeah, it's solid. I couldn't tell the last time I heard it, but I'm gonna have to give it another listen. After you brought it back up into like the front of my head, I'm gonna have to listen to it again this week.
Mhm.
My last track, I got No Ordinary Love by Sade. Another late night drive song. I was just driving back home last week, listening to some Sade, and it was just a great time. Highly recommend that to anybody that you're looking for something for a drive.
Yeah, I feel like we have been going stupid with these drive tracks lately. Like we
Yeah.
if you throw it in at least once an episode about driving around to this track.
I mean,
But
it's
that's
just like
literally like
what I
that's
listen
like,
to music so
yeah,
much. Like
that's like my ideal listening to music.
same, same.
Um, but my last track here, and we'll kind of segue this into the topic. We got Someone Like You off Watching Movies with the Sound Off. This is the first song, I was driving to work 4 a.m. and this is the first one that came on. And so I was like, perfect timing for the episode. The episode today, obviously you've read it. It is our top 5 albums of 2013. Maybe this Mac Miller album is going to make the list, maybe not, but I
Maybe.
mean, let's get into it.
Okay, yeah, I'm very excited to get in this. These albums are turning 10 years old this year, which is crazy. We already talked about Nothing Was the Same when it turned 10. A lot of these albums are, some of the biggest influences on our taste, shaped our taste in music. I mean, I'm very excited to get into these today. I'm excited to see what we have the same. We debated, are we gonna do a draft or we should do our top 5? Draft, we could take them away from each other, but then top 5 we can compare what we each have, see how our list compare to each other. I'm very excited to get into it though.
Yeah, same here. 2013 is like I feel like a lot of iconic albums. It's not, maybe the best well-rounded or most well-rounded year, but I was 12 years old at the time, so it's not like I was deep diving into all these albums weekly like we are now. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like I have a lot of big names. I feel, and sometimes, like with our more recent stuff, I try to go with a little bit more, underground, whatever. But I feel like that's just because I was 15. Like I was only listening to what was mainstream at the
yeah,
time. I wasn't diving in, like you said. So, um, yeah, it's a little bit different. But I also feel like these people were a little bit more underground or whatever at the time,
uh-huh.
and they've had 10 years. Everybody I picked is still relevant 10 years later. So, you know, I don't know, a little bit different than
Yeah.
if I just picked them today. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Give me kick it off here.
I'll start it off actually.
Okay.
For my number 5, I didn't do any honorable mentions or anything. I feel like with a list like so concise with only 5 options, let's make this list mean something. There's not 6th, 7th, and 8th in there. This is our top 5. So for my 5th one here, we have Because of the Internet by Childish Gambino. This is one still, I mean, I would say I probably listen to this arguably the most, or okay, we'll say top 3 for sure out of all my options here. And it's one at a time. You got 3005. What else is on there? Let me pull it up. Oh, you know every song on there. Throw some.
Sweatpants, World Star, The Worst Guys.
Yeah, so this is like kind of my introduction to Gambino, and it's something I'm glad that stayed in rotation. I mean, since 2013, that's 10 years now. Fucking crazy. So
Crazy. Yeah, it's definitely held up over the years. Definitely got a lot of great songs. My introduction to Gambino as well. It's a great album. We'll talk about it in a little bit though.
this one, I mean, I would say arguably it's aged the best so far.
I'll get into my thoughts in a little bit.
Okay.
Start off here, number 5. We got Kissland by The Weeknd. This is one I, debated between a couple options, but ultimately I had to go with Kissland. It's one that I feel like has grown on me so much over those 10 years. At first, I was really only listening to like Live For with Drake. I was listening to, a couple songs. I remember listening to the singles as they dropped and the tracks with music videos. But I remember I wasn't that into Kissland. I was, a huge fan of The Weeknd. I loved everything he did with the trilogy. And then this was different. It wasn't exactly what we heard on the trilogy, which, I should have expected, but I was 15 years old. I didn't really know what I was getting into. So I didn't know who The Weeknd was. I didn't know what he was about, where he was going. And Kissland has aged so well. You said that about Because the Internet. I think Kissland has aged close to just as well. I probably listened to it as a whole album, I would say once every month. Like I love the whole Kissland album front to back. I think it's a great project. I don't necessarily go to tracks individually as much as some other projects that aren't even going to make this list, but as a whole album, I love Kissland, and it just had to have a spot here.
It's yeah, it is a very enjoyable listen. I feel like The Weeknd doesn't miss, so I mean that's obviously, but I mean, aging the best. I don't know. I'd have to give it like a full. I haven't really given like a full deep listen through. I mean, in some time I had a little The Weeknd phase there where I would just listen to one of his albums, every week or so. But man, it's been a minute since then. That was like probably when we were starting to do the podcast. Yeah, because he had just released I
Don
like
FM.
no, was it Don FM? Yeah, it's Don or yeah, Don FM. Not I was thinking After Hours. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have my thoughts next week on if this aged. I mean, better than Because the Internet,
I didn't say better. I said
or
close,
right at that level. Okay,
Yeah, it's at that level.
Well, it'll be if I think it aged better, I guess.
Okay.
Moving on though, this is one that I like have desperately craved. This one I've had this on my list of vinyls I need to get for so fucking long. It is Hall of Fame by Big Sean. I was bumping that. I was bumping that then. I was bumping that in high. I've grown up with this album, like Guap, Beware. What are some other tracks on there? Ashley
Moolah, Nothing is Stopping You. Oh,
that cover is so tough too. It would look so great on the wall. And I mean, Big Sean is like sneakily, he's either going to be an honorable mention or definitely in my top 5 artists for, I mean, my personal preference. Like that's one where, this is, like I said, I was playing this way back in 2013. And I mean, I've still bumping Big Sean to this day. So
I love Hall of Fame. If you asked me in 2013 what my favorite album of the year was, probably would have said Hall of Fame. I will say it's not going to make my list today, but this project is so good. I definitely don't listen to it now as much as any project on my list that I did end up going with. But when I go back to these songs, oh, so much nostalgia. And it really does show me like Big Sean was one of the most underrated, probably still remains one of the most underrated. And he's just so good. Like there are so many good songs on this. This is one that I feel like, we do have some younger listeners. I feel like if they haven't given this one a listen, I would highly recommend it. Like this is a great project. You might be like, oh, Big Sean, he's overrated, he's trash, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know this Big Sean. You don't know the Finally Famous Big Sean, the Detroit Big Sean. Go back and give that man some respect. Give him his flowers.
Even like I was in 7th, 8th grade, or 7th grade, I'll say for sure there. and he dropped Dark Sky Paradise. That at the time, blessings, one man could change the world. I don't
Mhm.
fuck with you. Like I felt like that was, his prime there. And yeah, I mean, Big Sean deserves his flowers because I mean he's been a staple in this game for over 10 years. So
Facts. My number 4 album, I have Long Live ASAP by ASAP Rocky. So good. I feel like this is comparable to the Big Sean one for me then. Like I would have put this neck and neck with Hall of Fame in 2013, but Long Live ASAP has aged a little bit better to me. I love Long Live ASAP so much. It was my intro to Rocky. I remember hearing, ooh, probably fucking problems for the first time. And I was like,
that's
oh my
whew,
God, this
whew.
is different because I remember it was on World Star Hip Hop to age me
Mhm.
and to age this album and that track. And it was so good. I mean, any track with Drake around that time, I was just gonna just love, but also Two Chains and Kendrick, you cannot miss. I forever love the intro track, Long Live ASAP. Back then, Phoenix was probably one of my favorites, but right now, I feel like Suddenly, Level, and the best posse cut of all time, One Train. Hot take, I don't care. I love One Train so much. Like that is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's such a, long song. Everybody just does their thing. You could catch me on a different day and I would have a different take about who has the best verse on that, but man, it's such a good track. Everybody does their job great.
I fucking love Wild for the Night. That's been like the one that okay, I wasn't bumping it in 2013, but like the last year or so, like just every time it comes on, it's just I mean a very lit track, and this album is very versatile as well.
For
Unfortunately, did not
sure.
make my list. Spoiler alert. But I mean, I'll close it with it's so crazy to me that we've only had two ASAP Rocky albums since then, since
That is
2013,
crazy.
2 in 10 years. We got some news on that later, but we'll get into that when we get there. For my number 3 one here, we have Yeezus. Yeezus is I don't know, like I have such a love hate relationship with it. One day, it's one of my favorite Kanye albums. I'd put it top five, but then others, I, I don't want to say it doesn't crack the top 10, but it's damn near that. It's I mean 7, 8, 9. So
Yeah.
um, this is of course at the time I was not bumping this like crazy. I feel like at the time, very experimental. I mean just a lot of just crazy stuff in it. It's really just it's a great listen though. I mean, I'm definitely feeling it right now. So many just fucking bangers. Like Kanye came correct on this album. Hold My Liquor. That's one since we started the
Crazy.
podcast that is just so fucking good. Black Skinhead, Blood on the Leaves. I mean, it's just such a phenomenal project right now. Yeah, I should have this maybe a little higher, but we'll see.
Didn't make my list.
I respect that. I would respect it not making a top 10 list. That um it's one I could understand why you wouldn't have it on this list here, or why just the general listener wouldn't like it at all. But like I said, if maybe a month from now it wouldn't crack my five, but right now I'm feeling easy. So
Yeah, and it would have 100% been top 10 for me. I really do enjoy it, but there's just some that I enjoy more, I go back to more, that I feel like shape me a little bit more. Yeezus, like you said, I'm the same way. I wasn't as into it in 2013. I can definitely see the impact, the influence it has now, but it's just not my style. It's not what I go to Kanye for as much. I like the soul samples, stuff like that. And while this is a great project, it's just not in my top five favorite. Like it is great though. I love Blood on the Leaves. That's like one of my all-time favorite songs. Same thing with Hold My Liquor. I feel the same way as you. A lot of great tracks. But I'm not really going back to like I Am a God, I'm in it. Some of those tracks I'm not going back to. So for that reason, I felt like there was other projects a little bit above it, but it was definitely like in that 6, 7 spot today. And I'm the same way. Like maybe a month from now, I give it another listen. I'm like, okay, it should have been there, but today, not my top five.
yeah, it's one jumps like crazy. So
Definitely. My number 3 album here, I got Doris by Earl Sweatshirt. one of my favorite Earl projects. Really, the first Earl project I heard. I didn't hear Earl the mixtape until later. Uh, I love this project. It's tough to say if we're talking like best or whatever.
Mhm.
It's tough to say what the best Earl project is. I mean, I would probably say, some rap songs is his best project. Um, like the most essential Earl project, you're going to listen to one and understand who he is. But this is where I grew up on Earl. This is the Earl I'll always think of, I'll always go back to. He just really shows why he's one of the best, most promising rappers on this project. He was still fairly young. He was like early 20s probably, and his rhyme schemes are so good, his flows are so good. The production is always immaculate on an Earl project. Uh got some of my favorite songs: Burgundy with Vince Staples, Sasquatch with Tyler Centurion with Vince. Molasses is like one of my all-time favorite songs. Such a great project. How are you feeling about Doris?
It's definitely one I was not bumping at the time. You all say that I was 12 years old. So if you're 12 years old bumping Earl Sweatshirt, specifically Doris, I mean, respect to you. Kudos go out. But I mean, this is one. This is one where this is I don't know where I want to like put. It's not in my top five, but I would say it's one that's grown on me probably the most. Or if we did a top 10 list of albums that have grown on me over time, this would definitely be in there. Like you said, the features in there are very good. I felt like at that time, um, just a lot of those guys were doing songs together. I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
just not something we see as much anymore. You don't kind of have like these posses almost that are specifically on out all of each other's albums, but yeah, just it's a good listen.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like, it's probably not for everybody. And I would agree. It wasn't one I was bumping like as much in 2013. I
Mhm.
was definitely listening to Chum. I was listening to some of these songs, especially the ones like with Tyler, Whoa, Hive, songs like that. But over the years, I'm just like, wow, I go back to it and it really just is so good. I mean,
Mhm.
he's probably more mature and more, polished on his more recent projects, but it is still so good. It really shows like the
The
foundation that he
air.
built for himself.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Just that era as
great.
well. It's like I mean, just you can date that period in time with I mean all of their music just so well. I mean, a frequent collaborator here for my number two pick. We got Mac Miller watching movies with the sound off. The 10th anniversary came out this year. So I mean, this is one that's I've been bumping a lot. I think I would say it was like 2018, 19, whenever, I was bumping. Of course, I've talked about it on here. We had OK, G's with Schoolboy Q. That was one of the ones I was
Mhm.
loving at the time. But then, coming back all these years later, 5, 6 years later, Objects in the Mirror, Someone Like You, like those are tracks that are essential to me. I am playing those once a week at least. And I would definitely say that this isn't Mac Miller's best album, but it is definitely his most like well put together because you're still getting, rap Mac here, and then you're getting, I mean, little sappy tracks that I love. So um man, the Star Room, that just sets the tone so fucking well. That's like one of my favorite opening tracks on any album ever. I need that on vinyl. If you're looking behind me right now, we don't have a lot of red up there, so I think it would go well.
Need that.
And yeah, I mean, this is just one that I'll never stop bumping. The features on this are, I mean, crazy. Absol, Earl Sweatshirt, like we talked about earlier, Schoolboy Q, and then Tyler the Creator on OK. That track it's just so fucking like loud and obnoxious, but I love it so much.
Man, you didn't even say like my favorite feature. And that is Action Bronson and Red Dot Music. I love Red Dot Music so much. One of my favorite tracks off this project. I got to give this one a listen. It's been too long, I'll say that. So even when the 10th anniversary came out, I didn't listen to that. I listened to the Star Room OG version with Earl. That's fire. But yeah, I got to go back to this album and give it another listen. But it might be one that 6 months from now might be in my top five. But yeah, not gonna make my list. Good project though for sure. At my number two spot here, I got Acid Rap, Chance the Rapper. I'll always just say, if you know me, Chance the Rapper's got to be on my list. Acid rap is essential to who I am. Chance is essential to my taste, who I am. It's such a good project. I feel like it hasn't aged as well as my number one pick, which we, talked about a little bit earlier, spoiler alert, but Acid Rap is great. Uh it's just fun, but there's also serious moments. You have like Paranoia, but you also just have Smoke Again. You have tracks like for every occasion. It's such a good project from the intro, good ass intro. I mean, it just sets a tone for what you're gonna get. It's Chance with these just like off the wall flows with energy. He's really at this point was like some really like nobody I'd heard. Like he was such a breath of fresh air, and that's what made him so special. I mean, the ad libs to his voice to just what he said and how he said it. It was such a great project. But yeah, I mean, my favorite track of all time, one of them got to be Acid Rain. Probably my top
Yeah.
10 favorite songs of all
Ooh.
time, if not higher. It could be like top five, top three, top one. I don't know. It's up there though for sure. I love Acid Rain. Childish Gambino on favorite song, great. Action Bronson just spoke about him on Nana. Maybe, a little bit annoying. I like it though. Smoke Again with Absol, great. Juice. I mean, that was the first Chance song I
Oh,
ever heard.
yes.
Got to give that some love. And then even like Cocoa Butter Kisses, great. Pusha Man, great. Like there are truly no misses on this project for me. Every song does what it needs to do, in my opinion. And it's just great, man. It's
It's
maybe not as like complete of an album as Coloring Book, so it's kind of tough when I compare those two. There's no real winner between those two for me because they're both just like such really truly different parts of my life, but I love them both like so equally.
I have like I vividly remember me finally getting into this album here. It was right before the big day, so I mean that was I
Mm.
was a little more grown up. Um, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna have this Chance phase. I'm gonna be running around with three hats at fucking these
Yeah.
festivals like Jonathan was in high school. And then the big day came. And I it's still, I mean, it's the big day, but I'm very appreciative for, I mean, Acid Rap, and then I would say it's I don't think it's my favorite Chance project, but man, at the time I was bumping this like crazy. I remember I had the Chromebook from we had Chromebooks at high school, laptops they gave us to use, and I had it downloaded on there on Spotify. It was just elite times. Throw that on with some Fortnite, it's crazy.
Oh, that's so pre Fortnite to me that it's crazy that that's like what you associated with. But man, such a good project. This is like truly so nostalgic for me. Love it so much.
Yeah, you needed to put me on back then.
I
But
know.
eh,
I feel like I put you on like years before that to, the Drake, the Two Chains, and all those people. There was a little gap where I wasn't putting you on as much. So now we're back.
Yep, yeah, that's what we're doing this. So,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
my number one track here, I don't need to get into it too much. We have a full episode on it. We got Nothing Was the Same. The little I do want to talk about it. Mitchell said something very, very interesting that I mean, you just thought was a fucking insane take, and I'm kind of standing up. Not maybe not that take, but I'll just reiterate once again, Nothing Was the Same. It is tiptoeing right behind Take Care. This is, I mean, just such a great listen. Doing the episode, for having our September album of the month. I mean, it's just even more appreciation from it, and it's right on Take Care's heels. I think eventually maybe Take Care is gonna gain some more distance, but man, it's dangerously close if we ever did a Drake ranking right now.
Kind of crazy, but to each his own. What was Mitchell's take? Was his take album of the
I bet,
decade?
yeah, album of the decade.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it,
Mhm.
whatever. Again, it's personal opinion, but yeah, to me, not close. Like there are so many that are miles ahead. Like when you talk album of the decade, you still got like a blonde. You
Yeah,
got, the album I'm about to get into. You got a lot of good albums. But yeah, I don't hate that take. Like, I mean, it's definitely respectable, but not anywhere close for me.
mhm.
But yeah, great project. We talked about how much we loved it a couple episodes back. I do love it. I mean, it's not gonna be in my top five. but it's great. Like
Mhm.
Nothing Was the Same is so good. There's so many good tracks on it that have held up over the years that were my favorites then, and still listen to them now. So that's really kind of the mark of a good album. That timeless music,
Mhm.
great project. But yeah, just not going to be in my top five.
Yeah, I mean, just to close it out, that this is like the Drake we're still craving to this day, Like if we got another Nothing Was the Same, it'd be crazy for us, but
I'd be
unfortunately don't
happy
think
with
that's gonna
that.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. My number one here, been hinting at it because the internet, Josh Gambino had to be my number one. I didn't want to give too much away when you're talking about it, but man, this album to me, it has aged so well. It has aged, Kissland I talked about, both aged great. Because Internet probably a little bit better, but Kissland close. Because Internet is truly like one of the best like bodies of work. Everything is so intentional. The attention to detail is crazy.
Mhm.
It came with a screenplay. Who's doing that? Nobody. Donald Glover. That's it. I truly, it's so tough because I mean, I'm not going to go for forever about it, but like just the details from the screenplay that then are referenced in the album, things I didn't even know and appreciate until there's a podcast called the Dissect Podcast. Give them a listen. They did a whole season on Because of the Internet, and there's so many just little lines that I never knew because I never really even I've never read the screenplay. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
have the hard copy vinyl. I'm not gonna, whatever. It's a whole thing, but I don't have it, so I never read it. But they talk about it. They reference it throughout the episodes, and I'm just like, oh my god, that makes so much more sense here, and that made me appreciate it so much more. It would have been number one way even before I heard that, but that like put it to like number one
It's
album
stamped, yeah.
forever, like, and not
Mhm.
just of the year. Like it's up there for favorite albums of all time. It is so good. The music itself is great. It's such a versatile project. We talked about that for a couple of these, but I mean, you got songs like Sweatpants, you got 3005, you got those like hits, but then you also get the deeper cuts. You get Flight of the Navigator, you get Shadows, you get The Biggest Troll, Andrew Oppenheimer. That's one of my favorite songs. It's just such a good project, man. Like I don't even know what to say, but just like even just like the concept behind it, like because internet, everything is so woven together about connection, about just relationships with people, about the internet, just about life. And it's crazy. It's such a good project.
I
I could go on forever.
I mean, just to like throw this in there, obviously I've talked about it. You're talked about Because of the Internet, the album. But I feel like from a Gambino project, you're gonna get so much attention to detail. And like you saying there, like it's the little things that eventually add up, whether that's 10 years from now or the first fucking listen. Like it's just that attention to detail is like something I feel like rap is like desperately craving still. Like we don't get that anymore. I don't know. Yeah, it's
No,
just it's
not
I
on
don't
this
know if
level.
it's yeah, I don't know if it's the difference is like physical copies, the streaming era we're in now, but still like it's just I don't think even regardless of that, you're gonna get a project with, like you said, these little mementos here and there. So
Yeah, there are truly so many things we could talk about this that I don't know if you know. I don't know if the people listening know. This is one that I would petition to have as album of the month in the future because I think we could talk about a lot of the little things here. Uh, Man, it's just so good. I don't even know. I mean, you got these little skits even.
I love skits and albums. That's
It's
not something
so
that's really
good.
really done. Like I feel like a lot of the albums, from even 5 years ago had skits in them, and I'm just not seeing them as much anymore. I love a skit. So
Yeah, not even anymore. And they're not even really skits. They're just like little like instrumentals,
mhm.
but they just kind of like set the tone for what to do because it is like almost like chapters to this screenplay. So they're just so necessary. Like when you do realize like what's happening and what's going on, you're like, oh man, that's crazy. Um, yeah, I think we'll have to get into another episode longer, but man, it's just so good.
Well, there's some foreshadowing there. I mean, I definitely think this is when we talk about the future for album of the month. Obviously, you're going to petition for it hard being your, top one album of 2013, and then, like you said, probably favorite or one of your favorite albums ever. So, it's definitely one we got to get into dissecting eventually. So,
Let's make it happen. But yeah, that was our top five albums of 2013. 10 years old. Crazy these albums have been around for so long. Such a big part of who we are, our taste in music. Let us know what your favorite album of 2013 was. I'm sure, we talked about a lot of different ones. We have pretty different lists here. And so I'm excited to see, what people would say is their favorite.
Definitely. 10 years, man, flown by. So I can't wait to talk about 2023's top albums in 10 more years. So
Yes, sir. We'll talk about it in a month.
yeah.
And then in 10 years again. But yeah, let's talk about some of the news from this week. Let's start off with releases. We got projects from Kevin Abstract, The Alchemist, T Grizzly, Quedeca, AG Club, and then we got singles from Nav, Cochise, Tusi, Giveon, Megan the Stallion, Eam Triplin, Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, The Kid Leroy, Makami, and Earth Gang. Solid week.
Yeah. I mean, just another solid week. It's one I wasn't able to get into a ton. Obviously, you had talked about it. Kevin Abstract project. I got into that a little bit. I enjoy it. Obviously, not a Brockhampton project, but very enjoyable listen. What were your thoughts on that?
I haven't listened to it yet. I gotta give it.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to give it like a sit down or like a focused listen. And I just haven't had time to do that yet. The only one I gave a listen was The Alchemist. I mean, it was like short. It was
Mhm.
like 5 songs or whatever, and then the instrumental versions. So I was able to run through that one. It's really nice. I like that. We get the Alchemist rapping, fire, very cool. So yeah, good project there. And I really haven't listened to any of the singles yet,
Mhm.
besides Benny and Lil Wayne. I saw that, and so I was like, I got to give that one a listen. It's pretty good.
Mhm. Yeah, that was an enjoyable listen. Big week for the Griselda boys. There was a lot going on there.
Always.
Big month for them. I mean, really. So
Yeah. But yeah, we got some stuff coming soon. I mean, a lot of good music on the way. One we got to talk about 070 Shake and Ken Carson with a song coming this Friday.
this is
This
fucking
is kind
crazy.
of surprising. Yeah, this is
This is
random
a
collab.
dangerous collab. Like this could go. This is bringing like two completely different. I mean, groupings of fans. So I mean, I have high expectations. I don't know why, but I do.
I do too. I think for some reason they're going to go really well together. 070 Shake, great. I
He's
think she could
hard.
go with just
Yeah.
about anybody. So
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a great song. So we'll be back next week to talk about that. Next news here, Lil Wayne confirms the Carter 6 is releasing in December or early 2024. Not super specific here, but we're on the right track. Seems like we're going to be getting it fairly soon.
It's going to be after March. This all but confirms it to me. I don't know why. I'm just getting that vibe. So these artists just love lying to us, especially like the legends, like the Kanye West of the world. I mean,
Yeah.
not lying to us, but I mean just delaying stuff, I guess. So
Yeah, they got nothing to prove. They got no reason to hit those dates. People are going to listen whenever they drop. Lil Wayne, definitely one of those artists that, whenever he drops, any rap fan is going to give it a listen probably. So, yeah, I'm not holding my breath on this one it's coming in January, early 2024, very vague. Probably intentionally very vague. We'll get it when we get it. I'll be happy to listen to it when we get it, but yeah, we'll see. We'll be
we'll
ready
tune
for it
in.
whenever it
Yeah.
comes. Yeah, we're going to be tuning in, but I'm not promising anything.
Yeah, I won't. I'm not going to guarantee these dates. So, yeah, it's not gonna get a full episode, but I mean, it's something I'm excited to listen to. It's kind of gaining some hype, or I feel like you can't miss on the Carter series. So, I'm ready for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he's got to deliver on the Carter series. He knows that. He's going to take his time to make sure it's right. So, however long that takes, whatever. The
Even
wait between 4 and 5 was crazy. So anything at this point between 5 and 6, whatever.
yeah, and even to like, I love the Carter Five. It's a great album, but even if we just got like one, the rest was just skips, and we got like one Mona Lisa level track, I'd be satisfied.
Yeah, not bad. I would be okay with that. Um, I mean, speaking of just, you kind of alluded to him already, but Kanye West, I mean, Kanye, Ty Dolla Sign, another duo here that has, to no one's surprise, postponed a release. They're supposed to have these national stadium release parties. And I mean, that was the only thing we got. So at that point, we're not getting like concrete detail. I am definitely not holding my breath, but even when we get concrete detail, I'm not convinced it's going to
No.
happen. Um, so yeah, we'll see. I mean, on paper, sounds good. I'm excited for this collab project. But again, it's one of those ones we truly may never get it. Like just because they said it's coming, it might
Uh,
not. Like
I've been tricked too many times. You know, I know how this stuff goes. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's one if we get it, obviously I'll be listening, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned for updates. One album that it does seem like we're gonna get though
Does
is
it?
ASAP Rocky. Don't Be Dumb. Seems like it's coming this side of the year still, which is great. Kind of surprising. I thought it was going to be out by now if it was going to come out, but hey, I'll take it whenever we get it. I feel like artists tend to avoid the holiday season, but ASAP Rocky is ASAP Rocky. People are going to listen. He's got enough star power that he could drop on Christmas Day, Playboy Cardi style. People are going to listen. So they'll find time for Rocky. It was pretty funny. The TMZ reporter was chasing him, asking him questions, and I think this is where that news came from, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he was like, "It's still coming," whatever. So I
Yeah.
believe ASAP Rocky for whatever reason. I do.
Were we supposed to get it last year? And it was like, oh, it's Super Bowl time, it's coming, and then now, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not very confident in this either. And like, it's one of these huge artists, that just will always have that following that we're always going to tune in. But I'm ready for it. Obviously, I've already listened to damn near the whole thing, but yeah, it's a little
yeah,
flex. And he jumped in the crowd
yeah.
like 10 feet from me, but
Yeah, you're just boys. It's whatever. It's Rocky MDU, but it is what it is. All right. Last news of the week: Taylor Swift's 1989 Taylor's version, with some just mind-blowing, unfathomable sales numbers. I don't even know what this is comparable to. I'm sure she has done numbers like this. I'm sure there are people that are, but the rappers we're talking about typically aren't doing these numbers. She sold 1.587 million first week with Taylor's version of 1989. This is crazy. I mean, people have heard the music before, but they're still just coming back, showing love.
like
Crazy.
it's insane. And I would love for like a rapper to, I mean, you got to have obviously the past tracks, the past albums to be able to do something like this. But it's very cool concept. I mean, Eras Tour goes crazy. I mean, I don't think Taylor Swift's ever been bigger, and it's so crazy to think about that she's sold a million more copies than the biggest rap album of the year with Utopia. That was, and it's a little bit over a million, so almost a million and 100,000. But damn, I mean, she just does insane numbers. I can't even fathom selling that. Obviously, they have a lot of the like Target helps that with that. They have those ready, like on standby. I see people going fucking crazy for those. But I mean, props to Taylor. She's on a like she is massive. It's I can't even fathom how big she is right now. I
Same.
mean,
Like people, back in the day, always like, oh, Michael Jackson, like he couldn't walk wherever. People are always hotel and stuff like that. But like Taylor Swift's got to be the closest we've seen to that, like in our generation, right?
definitely. And I mean, I think dating, a star athlete like Travis Kelsey only brings in like just a whole other audience. Like regardless, like we were seeing her fucking 10 times on Sunday Night Football, stuff like that. So
Yeah, like I definitely don't think Travis Kelsey was like catapulted her, but it does like put her on like for other people that
mhm.
you know, Joe in Kansas City who's 70 and never heard Taylor Swift song. He now knows who Taylor Swift is. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely, I mean, some people are getting Taylor Swift, but I'm sure. I wonder like what percentage of people in America know who Taylor Swift is.
It's got to be a dumb number.
I mean, is it in the 90s? Like
I would, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like initially, like low 90s, 89 came to mind. So
1989. That's why.
yeah, so yeah, so it was right there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just one of those things. Like there are definitely, you know, I just saw a TikTok and it was this guy who go to college campuses. I think it's like almost always
Uh-huh.
BYU, but he'll ask them like questions about different things. It is funny because sometimes they're like, "Oh, would you rather, crash a bus full of children or hit this vape?" And they're like, "Oh, children." It's never that extreme, but it's pretty extreme. Like anyway, though, he went there and he was showing them pictures, trying to identify who the people were, and it was Taylor Swift, I think, and Beyonce, and they had no idea who Beyonce was, but they knew Taylor Swift. And I was like, okay, like Taylor Swift's Taylor Swift, but Beyonce is also,
That's
Beyonce,
Queen
like
Bee.
she's a
Yeah, that's
superstar.
Queen
Yeah, yeah.
Bee.
So people like that. I'm sure there are people, especially like that type of people that, they're not into pop culture as much. Hard to avoid these days, but they might not have Taylor Swift. Like their parents might not know Taylor Swift. I don't know. There's definitely some subset of people that don't know Taylor Swift, but it's kind of unfathomable to me that that could be possible in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could take like a census on this, like just go door to door for
I
everybody
think,
in America, I mean, road trip.
yeah, that's a vibe. Next summer maybe. Um, yeah, I don't know, crazy stuff. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Appreciate you guys sticking with us, a couple days late with this week's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, 10th anniversary, a lot of these albums. So great to talk about them. Let us know what albums you guys are rocking with from 2013. And we'll see you guys next week. We might have a surprise guest returning to the pod, trying to figure out what topic we're going to be talking about. But one of our best performing episodes might be having that special guest join us again. So stay tuned.
If not this coming week, it'll be in the very near future. So stay tuned on that note there. But I think that wraps it up. Peace, guys.
See you guys. Have a great week. Peace.